something else that I learned from you, which is something that shifts the leadership development space understanding of how to use analytics inside of our space. Because if you take a look at how we use analytics today, we basically use them to be descriptive, but we do not use them to be prescriptive and or predictive. And what I learned from you was, if you think about leadership attributes, then and take them through a statistical process, you can be predictive in terms of business outcomes.
Yep.
At the same time, you can start to use this in a prescriptive kind of way, which is what kinds of business outcomes are important to the organization, are important to the stakeholders, and then be prescriptive in terms of what are the implications then for the types of attributes that you actually need in order to achieve that. So I love applying this whole count empirically connection to, the whole discussion around what's the connection inside of leadership development, because I think most importantly, it brings predictive and prescriptive prowess to an industry that has really struggled with trying to understand how to use analytics in our space. Because to date, it's either not done at all and or it only hits the descriptive level. Right. So that to me is really important to give a shout out to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thought that comes to mind also is it's the industry is struggling, I think, also because, going back to some of what we talked about last week, is because of the mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you position yourself and change that mindset a little bit, now you start saying, all right, how can we actually get to this predictive, prescriptive, space? Yeah,
exactly. But still the question remains when you look at this, right? What goes in this box?
Yeah.
You still have the question, what goes in this box that's going to push off the predictive so that you can be prescriptive and work the other way? It's still a question of what are those attributes? And now remember, I think kind of coming into this, so much about what we thought about in terms of the attributes and what goes in the box,
right?
Either at this input process output model or what goes in the box in terms of the service profit chain model was based on what we knew from the human space, the human development space.
Mm-hmm.
And as we move to kind of our third level of connection, we believe intuitively, count empirically, and we lead connectedly. This whole number 3, how do we lead connectedly? It's taking a look at that box a little bit differently. And more than anything, I think it's the study and the combination of spaces that made me understand that we were only filling that box with half of the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go to either one of those boxes and you are only approaching it from a human perspective and taking a look at all of the synapses, the competencies, the behaviors that start to differentiate an exceptional leader, which people want to be. Leaders want to be really good. They want to understand what is that secret sauce that helps me to kind of move to that level. But if you're only filling that box with an understanding of what the leader needs, I think that what I have learned is that you're leaving money on the table.
Yep.
And there's another living organism that you have to pay attention to in this third connection called lead in a connected way. And that other living organism is the business. It's the organization. And so you're going to another space, but you're leaving human resource development. You're moving to organization development. And I'm going to put up another little picture here. That this is a way for us to think about what's happening in a really well-led organization. And just like in the human, there are all these synapses. There's all these synapses in a really well-run organization. The synapses aren't behavioral, they're more practice-based. And so I think that when we look at this third piece of connectivity and what goes in those boxes, at the 12 o'clock box of the service profit chain, or what goes in the box called input on the IPO model, it's both of these things. It's what's going to bring brilliance to the leader, as well as what's going to bring brilliance to the organization. And this is the body of work that we've been working on for a number of years, right? Is what's the connectivity between those two?
Yeah, absolutely.
Leaders have to do both.
Yeah, you have to do both. And connecting it back to the fence post conversation we had a few minutes ago, Reg, is that those two components become, if you may, the collective brain, of the organization, right? Now, remember one of the things that the author said was, it's not just about the brain, it's about the input that the brain gets. If the connectors are not connected and talking and having active conversations, guess what? The brain doesn't develop, right? So that's the other piece too. It's like, it's not just the fact that you identify the two pieces. You now say, you can connect the synapse on the leader side to the synapse on the business side, right? So you connect the behavior on the leader side to the business practice on the business side.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's the body of work, and that's the super exciting part of this whole conversation, and why we call today's topic the connection. And frankly, it's that synapse. It's that firing. Every single connector is connected, and every single connector is firing, and every single connector is having a conversation.
Yeah. And I think that our body of work is saying, when you talk about it is the person, or is the organization learning? There are synapses that are happening for the leader. There are synapses that are happening for the organization. But what we've been able to find is that it really looks more like this, right? Correct. It's there, there you have the organization and all of its synapses, but it's also the individuals within that are connected.